Okay, this is going to be a long one. I never thought I'd be sharing this story here, but after everything that's happened recently, I need to get this off my chest. Quick disclaimer, I'm using fake names for obvious reasons, and I'm writing this from my alternate account because some people involved still follow my main. So I'm James, 32 now. But this whole mess started when I was 27. For background, I grew up in a medium-sized town outside Portland, where everyone basically knows everyone else's business. Yeah, one of those places. My cousin Mike and I were super close growing up. Like we shared a room at every family vacation until we were teenagers kind of close. Our moms are sisters, and they made sure we spent pretty much every holiday and weekend together. Mike was marrying Katie, who lived literally 3 houses down from us growing up. Her family moved to our street when she was 8 and I was 10, and our families just clicked instantly. You know how some neighbors become basically family? That was us. Katie's parents would watch me and Mike when our parents were working late. We'd have joint barbecues every summer, that sort of thing. Katie was like my little sister. She'd come to me for advice about boys in middle school. I helped her with math homework, okay, more like we struggled through it together, lol. And I even taught her how to drive in my beat-up Honda Civic when she was learning. RIP to my car's transmission. So obviously, when Mike and Katie started dating in college, everyone was thrilled. It just made sense. You know, they'd been dancing around each other since high school, and when they finally got together junior year, the whole family was like, finally. I'm not even exaggerating. Our grandma literally cried when they announced they were engaged. Right now, as I sit here typing this in my quiet Seattle apartment, the rain pattering against the window like it's trying to wash away old memories, I can still feel that underlying tension bubbling up, the kind that hints at how fragile those bonds really were. It's like staring at a family photo where everyone's smiling, but you know there's a storm brewing just out of frame, ready to shatter everything. The air in those childhood barbecues always carried the scent of grilled burgers and fresh-cut grass. But looking back, there was always this unspoken expectation that we'd all stay perfectly intertwined, no room for mistakes or misunderstandings. And that's where the trouble started creeping in, subtle at first, like a whisper in the wind foreshadowing the hurricane to come. Fast forward to the wedding day, June 15th, 2019. It was at this pretty nice venue just outside town. Nothing super fancy, but definitely nicer than my brother Mark's backyard wedding the year before. Sorry, bro, but that porta potty situation was rough. I was one of Mike's groomsmen, along with his best man Tom, his roommate from college, and a few other guys. The morning started normal enough. I got there early to help set up because that's what you do when your favorite cousin is getting married, right? I was wearing this navy suit that cost way too much. But hey, wedding photos are forever. I had my groomsman boutonniere pinned on, took like 3 tries to get it straight, and was helping direct people to where they needed to go. This elderly couple had just asked me where the bathrooms were for like the 3rd time. They were really sweet but definitely struggling with directions, so I was walking them over personally because I'm not a monster. As we strolled across the manicured lawn, the sun was shining just right, casting that golden glow over the white chairs lined up in neat rows, and the floral arches smelled like fresh roses mixed with anticipation. Everyone was buzzing cousins chatting about old times, aunts fussing over centerpieces, and kids running around in their little suits and dresses. Mike had been texting me all week about how nervous he was, but in a good way, like he couldn't wait to start this new chapter. Katie had sent me a quick message that morning too, joking about how her dress made her feel like a princess, and asking if I'd make sure Mike didn't faint at the altar. It all felt so right, so inevitable, like our families were finally sealing this perfect union. But beneath it all, there was this faint itch I couldn't quite scratch, like when you sense a storm cloud on a clear day. Maybe it was the way Jessica, this girl from Mike's gym, who'd somehow ended up as a last-minute bridesmaid, kept glancing over with that awkward smile, sitting alone at a table looking out of place. I didn't think much of it then, just figured she was shy or something. How wrong I was. Little did I know that seemingly perfect day was about to explode into chaos that would rip everything apart. I remember pausing for a second to adjust my tie, feeling the crisp fabric against my skin, and thinking about how far we'd all come. Mike and I had shared so many adventures growing up, building forts in the backyard out of old blankets and branches, sneaking out to catch fireflies on summer nights, and even that time we tried to start a lemonade stand, but ended up giving it all away for free because Katie batted her eyelashes and called us her heroes. Our moms would laugh about how inseparable we were, swapping stories over coffee while we played. Katie fit right into that mix from the start. She'd tag along on our bike rides, her pigtails flying, and I'd always make sure she didn't fall behind. Teaching her to drive was a highlight, her gripping the wheel so tight her knuckles turned white. Me in the passenger seat trying not to laugh as she stalled the engine for the 10th time. "You're doing great, kid," I'd say, and she'd beam like I'd handed her the world. Those moments built a foundation I thought was unbreakable, like the sturdy oak tree in our grandparents' yard that withstood every storm. But as I guided that elderly couple toward the venue's side entrance, hearing the faint music from the string quartet warming up, I had no idea that foundation was about to crumble under the weight of a single vicious lie. The venue itself was charming with its rustic barn aesthetic and string lights dangling like stars brought down to earth. Guests were arriving in waves, cars pulling up the gravel driveway, crunching under tires, and the air hummed with laughter and hellos. I spotted my parents mingling near the entrance. Mom in her floral dress waving at relatives, Dad adjusting his glasses as he chatted with Katie's father about some old fishing trip. My sister Jenny was there too, helping with the kids, and Mark was probably somewhere cracking jokes to lighten the mood. It all seemed so idyllic, a culmination of years of shared history. But hindsight is brutal now. I see the cracks, the way trust can be so fragile in a tight-knit group where rumors spread like wildfire through dry grass. That day, as I smiled and directed traffic, I felt a surge of pride for Mike and Katie, imagining their future filled with the same warmth we'd all known. Yet deep down, there's always that nagging what if, the foreshadowing of how one misplaced word could turn paradise into a nightmare. That's when everything went to hell. I hear this commotion behind me, and before I can even turn around fully, wham, I got hit so hard, I literally saw stars. Like, I always thought that was just something people said in movies, but nope. Actual freaking stars. Mike had come charging in with Tom and a couple of other guys trailing behind him. He looked, I don't even know how to describe it, like rage and hurt and something else all mixed together. He just started wailing on me, not like one punch and done. This was full-on assault mode. I'm not a small guy, 6'1", and I hit the gym occasionally, but Mike works construction, and he was just destroying me. The whole time he's screaming stuff like, "How could you, and I trusted you." Meanwhile, I'm just trying to protect my face and figure out what the hell is happening. Tom and two other groomsmen finally managed to pull him off me. By this point, I'm bleeding all over my fancy new suit. RIP to that too. Blood does not come out easily, my left eye is swelling shut, and I'm pretty sure my nose is broken. The elderly couple I was helping, they're just standing there in shock. The woman was crying. I still feel bad about ruining their day too. The chaos erupted so fast, like a sudden thunderclap on that sunny afternoon, the scent of crushed grass mixing with the metallic tang of blood in my mouth. Guests who had been milling about froze their conversations, dying mid-sentence, and the string quartet's music screeched to a halt like a record needle skipping. Mike's face was twisted in a way I'd never seen, eyes wild veins bulging in his neck as he lunged again, only held back by Tom's firm grip. "You piece of trash," he spat, his voice breaking with betrayal that cut deeper than any punch. I staggered back, my vision blurring from the swelling feeling, the warm trickle down my chin as I wiped at it with a trembling hand. The venue manager rushed over, phone in hand, her face pale as she barked orders for ice and towels. Whispers rippled through the crowd like wind through leaves. "What happened?" "Is that James?" "Oh my God, the wedding." It was surreal, like watching my own life unravel in slow motion while my heart pounded in my ears. Someone, I think it was the venue manager, called for medical help. They wanted to call the cops too, but I managed to say no through my busted lip. Like, even though I had no idea what was happening, this was still Mike. We grew up together. No way was I getting him arrested. I ended up at this urgent care place a few miles away. The doctor kept asking if I wanted to press charges while she checked if my nose was broken. Fun fact, it wasn't broken, just badly bruised. I still have a tiny bump there, though. She gave me this ice pack that was so cold it almost hurt worse than the punches. Okay, not really. But damn, those medical ice packs are no joke. That's when I got the text. You know those moments in movies where the character looks at their phone and their whole world changes? Yeah, it was one of those. A message from my dad. Wedding canceled. Clear your stuff out of the garage by tonight. Quick context. I'd moved out years ago but kept some stuff stored at my parents' place. Boxes of childhood memories, some sports equipment, photo albums. Basically the stuff you can't fit in a small apartment but don't want to throw away. Nothing major, but the way he said it, that's when I knew something was seriously wrong. I called my dad immediately straight to voicemail. Same with Mom. My sister wouldn't pick up either. The only person who answered was my brother Mark, and all he said was, "How could you do this to the family?" Before hanging up, I'm sitting in urgent care with an ice pack on my face, looking like I just went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson and nobody in my family will answer their phones. The nurse keeps giving me these sympathetic looks while I'm trying to call everyone I can think of, probably thinking I'm some guy who got in a bar fight at 11:00 a.m. wearing a suit. The sterile smell of antiseptic filled the room, mingling with the faint beep of medical equipment as I scrolled through my contacts desperately, my thumb shaking on the screen. Each unanswered ring felt like another blow, echoing the throbbing in my cheek. The doctor hovered nearby, stitching up a small cut above my eyebrow with careful precision, her gloves snapping as she worked. "You sure you don't want to report this?" she asked again, her tone gentle but insistent. I shook my head, wincing at the movement, still clinging to the idea that this was some massive misunderstanding, maybe a prank gone wrong, or Mike mistaking me for someone else. But deep inside, a knot twisted in my gut, hinting at darker revelations ahead, like the first drops of rain before a downpour. Finally, I decided to just drive to my parents' house. Quick side note, trying to drive with one eye swollen shut is not fun. Do not recommend. Had to keep turning my whole head to check my blind spot. Probably looked like some kind of deranged owl to other drivers. I pull up to my parents' place, same house I grew up in. Typical suburban setup with the faded blue paint Mom's been promising to redo for like 5 years. My sister Jenny's car is in the driveway along with my brother Mark's pickup and my parents' vehicles. Great. The whole family's here. This should be fun. I walk in through the garage, still had my key at this point, and head into the kitchen. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and everyone stops talking immediately? Yeah. Multiply that by about 1,000. Mom's sitting at the kitchen island, Dad's by the coffee maker, Jenny's in her usual spot on the counter. She's 25 but still sits there like she's 12. And Mark's leaning against the fridge. The kitchen light cast harsh shadows on their faces, the familiar scent of fresh brewed coffee now feeling oppressive, like it was mocking the normalcy we'd lost. Mom's eyes widened at my battered appearance, her hand flying to her mouth, but the concern flickered out almost instantly, replaced by something colder. I stood there, blood-stained suit clinging to me, waiting for an explanation. My mind racing through possibilities. Had there been a theft? An accident? But nothing prepared me for what came next. The words that would ignite a firestorm of accusations and exile, forever altering the path I thought was set in stone. The first thing Mom does is gasp. Not like a subtle gasp, full-on soap opera style. "Oh my God, what did Mike do to your face?" Then immediately follows it with, "But how could you, James? How could you do this to the family?" The whiplash from concern to accusation gave me an even worse headache than I already had. That's when they finally tell me what's going on. Apparently, I've been having this steamy affair with Katie. Yes, that Katie. The girl who used to make fun of my acne in high school. The one who helped me pick out my first real girlfriend's birthday present. The person who literally called me basically her big brother in her college graduation speech. According to them, we'd been sneaking around for months. I literally laughed. Like actually laughed out loud. Which pro tip: don't laugh with a split lip. It hurts like hell. But it was just so ridiculous. I couldn't help it. That's when Mark, my own brother, who was best man at my wedding before my divorce, whole other story not relevant here, grabs this duffel bag from behind the couch and throws it at my feet. "Get your stuff and get out," he says, trying to sound all tough like he's in some movie. The bag hit the tiled floor with a thud that echoed in the silent kitchen, spilling out a few items: a faded baseball cap from our high school team, some old sneakers, and I stared at it, my mind reeling, as if the ground had shifted beneath me. The air felt thick, charged with unspoken judgments, and the fluorescent light overhead buzzed faintly, amplifying the tension like a bad soundtrack to this nightmare. Mom averted her eyes, fiddling with a dish towel, her knuckles white, while Dad crossed his arms, his jaw set in that disappointed way he used to reserve for when I'd missed curfew as a teen. Jenny slid off the counter, her face pale, but she didn't say a word, just hugged herself like she was cold, despite the warm summer evening seeping through the open window. I tried to process it all, the absurdity hitting me in waves, me and Katie. The idea was laughable, but their serious expressions made it clear this wasn't a joke. "This is insane." I managed my voice hoarse from the earlier swelling, tasting blood on my tongue as I spoke. "The bags got maybe half of my stuff from the garage. Found out later he just grabbed random things. Got my old baseball cards, but left all my photos from high school and college. Thanks, bro." I tried explaining, obviously kept saying this was insane, asking for proof, trying to understand where this was even coming from. Dad just kept shaking his head, saying stuff like, "We trusted you, and how could you do this to Mike?" Mom wouldn't even look at me. Jenny, who usually talks enough for the whole family, just sat there silent. I asked them what proof they had. Their response, "We just know." That's it. That's literally all they had. No screenshots of texts because there weren't any. No photos of us together except, normal family photos from the last 15 plus years. Nothing. They just knew. It was like being trapped in a twisted dream where logic didn't apply, their blind faith in the rumor, stinging more than Mike's fists ever could. I paced the kitchen floor, the cool linoleum under my shoes, a stark contrast to the heat rising in my chest, my swollen eye throbbing with each step. Memories flooded back, unbidden family dinners where we'd all laugh over shared stories, holidays with gifts piled under the tree, and those quiet moments when Mom would hug me and say how proud she was. Now that same woman couldn't meet my gaze, her silence screaming louder than words. Dad muttered about loyalty, his voice low and gravelly, as if repeating it enough would make the accusation true. Mark stood there like a sentinel, arms folded, his earlier toughness cracking just a bit when I pressed him on details, but he doubled down, insisting it was obvious from how close Katie and I had always been. Obvious. The word hung in the air like smoke, choking me with its vagueness, foreshadowing how this baseless knowing would poison everything in the days ahead. The worst part? These are the people who know me. Mom and Dad, who raised me to always tell the truth, who literally grounded me for a month in 8th grade when I lied about finishing my science project. Jenny, who used to come to me with all her problems because I was the reasonable one in the family. Mark, who I helped move apartments 3 times because he's too cheap to hire movers. They all just decided I was guilty. No questions asked. I tried calling Katie straight to voicemail. Texted her, no response. Called her parents' house. Yes, they still had a landline. Mr. H answered and told me if I ever called again, he'd call the police. Real Christian behavior there. Mr. Everyone deserves forgiveness. H. The rejection from Katie's side hit like another punch, the phone line going dead with a click that resonated in my bones, leaving me standing there amid my family's accusing stares. Outside, the evening light faded, casting long shadows through the window blinds, mirroring the darkness settling over our relationships. I pleaded one last time, my voice cracking as I recounted innocent moments with Katie, helping her with college essays late at night over pizza, or the group road trips where we'd all sing off-key to old songs. But it fell on deaf ears. Their minds were made up, locked behind a wall of unfounded certainty. Mom finally spoke again, her tone laced with sorrow, but no doubt urging me to own up for the family's sake, as if admitting to a lie would somehow heal the rift they'd just created. It was then I realized the depth of the betrayal, not just the accusation, but their willingness to discard me without a shred of evidence, setting the stage for the isolation that would force me to rebuild from nothing. I left my parents' house in a daze, didn't even grab the bag Mark threw at me, just got in my car and drove. Ended up at Murphy's, this bar downtown I'd been going to for trivia night every Thursday for like 4 years. The bartender Dave takes one look at my face and starts pouring my usual whiskey sour. Basic, I know. Then Mike's college roommate walks in for his shift, sees me, and suddenly Dave's telling me I need to leave. Apparently I'm not welcome there anymore. Cool, real cool. The dim bar lights flickered over worn wooden tables, the jukebox playing some old rock tune that blurred into background noise as I slid off the stool, the rejection following me like a shadow. Dave avoided my eyes, mumbling apologies, but it was clear the rumor mill had already spun its web, turning familiar haunts into hostile territory. Driving home, the city lights streaked past in a blur. My mind numb yet racing, pondering how one false whisper could unravel a lifetime of trust so completely. I drove home to my apartment, tried calling Katie again. Nothing. At this point, my phone's blowing up with texts from random family members and family friends. Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone knew we were too close. Suddenly, every time Katie and I hung out or talked was suspicious. That time I helped her move apartments after college. Obviously, we were hooking up. The fact that her boyfriend at the time helped too, conveniently forgotten. I had to turn my phone off. Just sat there in my dark apartment with a bag of frozen peas on my face. The ice pack from urgent care had melted, trying to figure out how my entire life had imploded in the span of about 6 hours. I called in sick to work for Monday. How do you explain to your boss that your face looks like a professional boxer's punching bag because your cousin thinks you're sleeping with his fiancée? Yeah, that's not a conversation I wanted to have. The apartment felt smaller that night, the walls closing in as the frozen peas numbed my cheek, their cold seep echoing the chill in my chest from all those accusing messages lighting up my screen before I silenced it. Streetlights filtered through the blinds in slanted beams, casting eerie patterns on the carpet, while the distant hum of traffic outside reminded me that the world kept turning even as mine ground to a halt. I replayed the day's events in my head like a bad loop, the punch, the stares, the texts twisting innocent memories into something sordid. That moving day with Katie. We'd laughed the whole time, her ex hauling boxes alongside us, blasting music from a portable speaker as we stacked furniture in her new place. But now, in their eyes, it was evidence, a secret rendezvous airbrushed of context. The injustice burned hot and unrelenting, foreshadowing how this poison would seep into every corner of my daily life, turning allies into strangers overnight. The next few weeks were absolute hell. You don't realize how interconnected your life is with your family until they all suddenly decide you're dead to them. Quick example, I tried to go to my regular gym Monday morning. Figured exercise might help clear my head. Guess who's there? Mike's workout buddy Steve, who apparently now manages the place. Suddenly, my membership is being reviewed, and I should try a different location. It's like the whole town was playing this twisted game of 6 degrees of separation, except it was 6 degrees of ways to screw over James. My regular coffee shop barista is Katie's cousin's best friend. Local grocery store owner goes to church with Mike's parents. Even my freaking dentist canceled my cleaning appointment. His kid plays Little League with Mike's nephew or something. Every errand became a minefield, the familiar streets of our town now laced with judgmental glances and whispered conversations that hushed when I approached. At the coffee shop, the barista who'd always remembered my order black with 2 sugars suddenly fumbled it, her eyes darting away as if I carried some contagion. The grocery store's fluorescent aisles, once a mundane routine, felt like a gauntlet. The owner, Mr. Ellis, who'd swapped fishing stories with me for years, busied himself in the back when I entered, leaving a clerk to ring me up with forced politeness. Even the dentist's office call came with a curt voicemail citing scheduling conflicts, but I knew better. The web of connections in this small town meant no escape, each rejection piling on like weights, crushing the normalcy I'd taken for granted and hinting at the deeper isolation to come. The work situation was fun too. Had to explain to my boss why I looked like I'd been in a bar fight. Tried to keep it vague, but Susan from accounting overheard because of course she did. And by lunch break, the whole office knew. Got called into HR because apparently someone, thanks Susan, was concerned about my personal conduct. Had to explain to this 23-year-old HR rep that, no, I wasn't engaging in inappropriate relations with anyone, while she looked at me like I was some kind of soap opera villain. Finally managed to get hold of Katie after about a week. That first call was rough, like nuclear explosion level rough. Started with her screaming at me for ruining her life and me yelling back about how my life was ruined too. But somewhere between the yelling and the crying, yes, I cried. Judge me all you want. We actually started listening to each other. The office air conditioner droned on during that HR meeting, its cool blast doing nothing to ease the sweat beading on my forehead as I sat across from the rep, her notepad filled with scribbles that felt like indictments. She nodded sympathetically, but her questions probed like needles. Had there been any incidents at work? Any complaints? It was humiliating, reducing my ordeal to bullet points in a file, while coworkers peeked through the glass door with curious eyes. When Katie finally picked up, her voice cracked over the line, the static mirroring our frayed nerves, and we unloaded it all, the pain. The confusion until exhaustion led to real talk, a fragile bridge over the chasm of shared suffering that would guide us through the coming storms. Turned out her side of things was even worse than mine. Her super religious parents had basically excommunicated her like full-on, "you're dead to us" style. Her dad even called their priest to see if they could get her formally excommunicated from the church. Spoiler, that's not how it works. Mr. H. Her mom had already packed up all her childhood stuff in garbage bags and left them on the front porch. Real classy. Katie's work situation was a nightmare too. She was a project manager at this big marketing firm downtown, but her team lead was Mike's cousin on his mom's side. Suddenly, all her projects were being reassigned, and she was getting written up for being unfocused at work. Yeah, wonder why she might be unfocused when her entire life was imploding. We started comparing notes over text. Calling felt too risky. Didn't want anyone overhearing and starting more rumors. Neither of us had any idea where these accusations came from. Every time we asked anyone for proof, they'd just say stuff like, "Everyone knows," or "It was obvious." Like, what was obvious? The fact that we'd known each other since we were kids, that we could actually hold a conversation without it being weird. The one time I managed to corner Mike ran into him at the gas station, he couldn't exactly run away while pumping gas. His response was, "I saw the way you looked at her." The way I looked at her. Are you kidding me? I looked at her the same way I looked at Jenny because she was basically my sister. That gas station encounter lingered, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead as Mike gripped the pump handle tighter, his eyes avoiding mine while cars whooshed by on the nearby road, each one a reminder of how stuck we both were in this mess. His vague accusation hung between us like exhaust fumes, toxic and intangible, underscoring how perception had warped reality for everyone around us, paving the way for our eventual exile. Remember that duffel bag of stuff from my parents' garage? Yeah, I finally went back to get the rest of my things about 2 weeks later. Mom had boxed everything up and left it in the garage, didn't even label the boxes, just threw everything in randomly. Found my high school graduation photos mixed in with old Christmas decorations. My college diploma was stuffed in with some old sports equipment. Cool. Real cool, Mom. The social media fallout was fun too, got blocked by pretty much everyone in the family. Katie's sister, who I'd helped with her college applications, posted this vague status about snakes in the family that got like 200 comments. People I hadn't talked to since high school were suddenly messaging me about how they always knew something was off about me. Started getting random calls and texts from unknown numbers. Apparently someone pretty sure it was Katie's brother had shared my number in some family group chat. Had to change my number after getting bombarded with lovely messages, calling me everything from a home wrecker to, well, you can imagine. Picking up those boxes felt like scavenging remnants from a life that no longer existed. The garage's dim bulb swinging slightly as I loaded them into my trunk dust motes, dancing in the air like mocking confetti. The unlabeled cardboard smelled faintly of mildew and forgotten holidays, each item a jagged reminder of what I'd lost, photos creased from careless packing, diplomas bent at the corners as if my achievements were disposable. Social media turned into a battlefield overnight. Scrolling through notifications before blocking everyone I saw, the vague posts multiply, likes and comments piling up like digital stones thrown my way. Katie's sister's status stung, especially her words twisting the help I'd given her late-night edits on essays about her dreams into something sinister. The comment section, a chorus of agreement from distant relatives I'd barely known. Those unknown texts buzzed incessantly, harsh words glowing on my screen in the quiet of my apartment, forcing the number change that severed yet another tie, amplifying the loneliness that wrapped around me like a fog, hinting at the desperate need for a fresh start, far from this toxic echo chamber. The worst part. Some of these people had known me my entire life. Mrs. D from down the street, who used to give me cookies every time I mowed her lawn in high school, crossed the street to avoid me. Mr. P from the hardware store, who taught me how to fix a leaky faucet when I bought my first apartment. Suddenly, his store was closed for inventory every time I tried to go in. Katie and I eventually realized we needed to get out. This town was suffocating us. Everyone had already decided we were guilty, and nothing we said or did was going to change their minds. We couldn't even meet up to talk about it in person because people would definitely see us and think it proved everything. I got real tired of defending myself against something I didn't do. How do you prove a negative? How do you prove something didn't happen? It's impossible. And apparently, in the eyes of everyone we knew, the fact that we couldn't prove our innocence meant we must be guilty. Those small-town encounters eroded what little resolve I had left, Mrs. D's hurried steps across the pavement echoing in my ears long after her once warm smile replaced by averted eyes that spoke volumes of misplaced judgment. Mr. P's closed sign became a symbol of the doors slamming shut everywhere, his lessons on home repairs now tainted by this unspoken banishment. Katie and I texted late into the nights, our messages a lifeline amid the storm, debating escape routes, as the suffocation grew, her describing the stares at church, me recounting the whispers in line at the post office. Meeting in person was out. Even a coffee shop run-in would fuel the fire snapshots shared in group chats as proof. Defending a non-event exhausted me like shouting into a void that only echoed back accusations, the impossibility of disproving nothing weighing heavier each day, pushing us toward the inevitable decision that relocation was our only salvation. A leap into the unknown to reclaim our narratives. After about 2 months of living like a hermit and having DoorDash drivers give me weird looks. Pretty sure someone told them I was that guy, I decided enough was enough. Applied for a transfer at work. Thankfully, my company has offices in Seattle. My boss was surprisingly cool about it. Probably just wanted to get rid of the office drama, to be honest. Katie and I had our last conversation before leaving town. We decided it was better to go our separate ways. She picked Chicago, I took Seattle. We kept in touch through Instagram, but that was it. Unfollowed each other on everything else just to be safe. Didn't need anyone screenshotting and starting rumors about how we were still sneaking around. Those hermit weeks blurred into a routine of delivered meals and drawn curtains. The driver's sidelong glances through the peephole, adding to the paranoia that had become my shadow. My boss's approval came as a relief, his nod during the video call, hiding what I suspected was eagerness to quash the whispers in the break room. That final call with Katie was bittersweet, our voices soft over the line as we mapped out futures apart. Her excitement for Chicago's bustling energy mine, for Seattle's rainy anonymity, agreeing on Instagram as our sole link, a digital thread thin enough to avoid suspicion. Unfollowing felt like erasing parts of ourselves, but necessary, the fear of screenshots looming like ghosts, ensuring our departures wouldn't spark fresh scandals as we packed boxes under the cover of night. Moving to Seattle was interesting. Try explaining to potential roommates why you're suddenly moving cities at 27 with basically no furniture. My first place was this tiny studio in Capitol Hill that cost way too much, but it was mine and nobody there knew my name or my story. Can't put a price on that kind of freedom. I started over completely, new phone number, new email. Had to abandon my old one after it got spammed with subscription signups. Real mature guys. Even got rid of my old PlayStation account because some of Mike's friends kept sending me hateful messages through the gaming chat. Who does that? Work was actually pretty good. Nice thing about being the new guy is nobody asks too many questions about your past. Just told people I needed a change of scenery. Not technically a lie, right? Settling into Seattle brought unexpected hurdles like roommate interviews, where my vague explanations raised eyebrows. But the studio's high rent was worth the solitude, its small window overlooking bustling streets where strangers passed without a second glance. Freedom tasted like the salty sea air wafting in untethered from prying eyes. Starting fresh meant shedding digital skins, the new number buzzing only with work alerts, the email free of spam bombs that had clogged my inbox with petty vengeance. Ditching the PlayStation hurt those hateful messages from Mike's buddies a final jab, but it cleared space for reinvention. At the office, blending in as the newcomer was a balm, casual chats stayed surface level, my change of scenery line accepted with nods, allowing me to focus on tasks without the weight of backstory, slowly rebuilding confidence amid the city's gray skies and coffee-scented mornings. Threw myself into work, started hitting the gym regularly. Different chain than my old one, obviously. Tried to build some kind of routine. Found this cool bar called The Crocodile that did trivia nights on Wednesdays. Different vibe than Murphy's back home, but the bartenders didn't look at me like I was Satan incarnate. So that was an upgrade. Started going regularly. Met some decent people. First time in months I felt like I could breathe. Diving into routines became my anchor work, projects piling up as distractions. The gym's clanging weights, a rhythm to drown out memories. The Crocodile's neon sign beckoned weekly, its trivia crowds a mix of locals sharing laughs over pints. No judgment in their welcomes, letting me exhale fully for the first time since the chaos, piecing together a new self, one question at a time. Then came the work barbecue that changed everything. Summer 2021. A perfect Seattle day, no rain, just warm sun. My coworker Jake hosted at his Ballard place. Almost skipped it. Group events still made me jittery, but Jake helped me navigate Seattle's buses when I moved, so I owed him. That's where I met Amy, his wife's yoga class friend. No movie-style sparks. She just caught me debating frisbee technique with Jake's dog looking ridiculous. Somehow, we started talking. She was easygoing, laughed at my dumb Seattle traffic jokes, no distant Seattle freeze. We sat on Jake's porch for hours chatting about true crime podcasts. Ironic, I know. We started dating fast. Third date over pasta in a cozy restaurant, I spilled everything the wedding accusations family fallout. Expected her to bolt. Instead, she listened, asked real questions, then said, "That sucks." Ice cream. Perfect response. The barbecue's grill smoke and laughter filled the air. Amy's casual smile disarming as we talked on creaky porch steps, her warmth cutting through my guarded shell. Dating felt natural. Coffee waterfront walks, her hand in mine. That third date confession under dim lights was raw. Her calm acceptance like a lifeline hinted at the stability she'd bring. Amy followed Katie on Instagram, bonding over crime junkie podcasts, starting a virtual book club with Zoom wine nights. Katie met Chris in Chicago, a solid guy, a coder with too many monitors per Amy. He treated her right, no wild assumptions. I missed moms cooking my niece's faces, but Seattle gave me real friends, a girlfriend who listened to life mine alone. Seattle me shed Portland's eggshells, work gaming, new restaurants with Amy, no looking back. Katie said her parents still trashed me at church, their wolf in sheep's clothing tale ongoing. Cool, Mr. and Mrs. H. I thrived anyway, job going well. Cooking classes where I nailed pasta, a new me emerging under Seattle's drizzle, building toward unexpected disruptions. Last month hit like a bad hangover. It was a Tuesday, Amy working from home as usual, her company still remote. She grabs lunch at this Mediterranean spot, shawarma so good, it's addictive. She gets back, finds a creepy note on our door. "We need to talk. I'll be back tonight." No name, no number, just my name on the mailbox since Amy's not on the lease. She calls me at work, freaking out, talking a mile a minute. She hates phone calls, so this was big. I bolt home early, find her with the doors locked, gripping her old college softball bat. She's a D1 WSU champ with a killer swing. We hit batting cages sometimes, and she smokes me. Seeing her scared, bat in hand, hit hard. The note sat on our counter, its scrawl ominous under kitchen lights, shadows stretching as we waited, Amy's bat nearby like a guard. Her call replayed in my head, her voice a whirlwind amid office noise, pulling me from work. 3 nights passed, no visitor, just Amy's stress-baked cookies piling up and Netflix on mute. Friday, 8:30 p.m., post-takeout, a knock. Peephole shows Mike unkempt, swaying, maybe drunk or exhausted. Amy grabs her bat. I wave it off, but keep the chain on. He begs to talk, apologizes for the punches, says he knows the truth, now wants Katie's contact. I laugh. 5 years of silence and now this. I tell him I'll pass it to Katie. Slam the door. Hear him yell about unblocking mom. Called Katie. She's shaken, says no to Mike's contact. Mike's defeated look lingered, rain tapping the window. As I tossed that night, Amy's protective mode kicking in, she installed a Ring doorbell, worked from a coffee shop, even called her cop brother about restraining orders. I unblocked mom, texted curtly, "I hear you want to talk." Her replies begged for reconciliation, saying they know the truth now. Petty maybe. Then she spilled Mike married Jessica, that gym bridesmaid 2 years post-wedding. Their marriage tanked. 6 months ago, Jessica admitted she lied about me and Katie, jealous of their bond, feeding Mike fake stories with zero proof. Family bought it, no questions, because Mike wouldn't ruin his wedding otherwise. Blind trust in a stranger over us, a truth too late to undo the damage. Nobody in either family bothered talking to us or asking for proof before torching our lives. Jessica had a history. Tom later recalled her accusing a trainer at her old gym of harassment to sabotage his relationship, but no one checked that before Mike turned my face into a punching bag. Katie took it harder. Church folks shunned her. Her parents trashed her childhood stuff in garbage bags. Her boss, Mike's cousin, pushed her out of her job. Timeline: June 2019. Wedding disaster. July, we flee. December. Mike dates Jessica. March 2020, they marry. August 2021. I meet Amy. September 2024. Jessica confesses. October, apologies flood in. 5 years lost, birthdays, holidays. My niece is thinking I'm the bad guy, all because Jessica's jealousy sparked a lie everyone swallowed. The timeline haunted me over coffee with Amy, steam curling like the bitterness I still tasted, each date a reminder of stolen time. Katie's texts burned with rage. Her parents' betrayal, her boss's sabotage, all unverified. Jessica's pattern ignored, then screamed negligence now. Amy's quip, "Your family's dumber than rocks," broke my tension while Katie's call was blunt. They can shove their apologies. The ease of their belief stung most lifelong loved ones choosing gossip over truth. Mom's texts begged forgiveness. Dad's calls got blocked. Jenny's kid photos felt manipulative. Trust, like a cracked mirror, can't be fixed cleanly. Katie and I faced them on our terms at a neutral coffee shop, her on Zoom voice only. My parents, Mike, a haggard Jessica, Katie's parent siblings. Tom all there. I set rules, Katie chooses to speak. She disconnects. We're done, no touching, no Bible thumping. Jessica admitted her jealous lie to steal Mike. He apologized for the punches, regretting his blind trust. Mom tried hugging me. I stepped back, her pain echoing her, packing my photos like trash. Katie shut down her dad's scripture with "You threw my stuff in the rain, don't quote God." Jenny's tears about her kids didn't erase her gossip. I told them their choice to believe without proof showed conditional love, now their burden. Katie's calm. "You didn't think we were worth the truth," ended it. She disconnected. The coffee shop's espresso hum underscored our confrontation, their faces a mix of guilt and hope under soft lights, Katie's voice cutting through digitally. My words landed hard at Jessica's selfish ruin. Mike's broader destruction, parents' exposed limits. Mom's texts persist. Dad claims he's giving space. Jenny's photos tug faintly, but Amy and I have a real life here. A ring hides in my sock drawer, proposing next month. Katie's happy with Chris. Chosen family trumps blood. Broken things don't always need fixing. Happiness without them is our revenge. That's it, Reddit. My cousin's wedding broke my old life, but built a better one. The coffee shop's warmth lingered as I walked home through Seattle's drizzle, the city's soft pulse calming the storm of that meeting. Amy's hand in mine, our weekend market strolls her laughter over my pasta attempts. These anchored me now. Katie's Chicago life with Chris, their shared dreams, mirrored my contentment. Our calls a quiet bond. Family texts faded to background noise, their pleas unable to pierce the peace we'd crafted. Friends from trivia nights, colleagues who trusted without prying, formed a circle stronger than blood. The ring in my drawer held a promise of tomorrow's, its weight light against past burdens. Some fractures don't mend, but new foundations rise stronger. As rain streaked the windows, I saw only the glow of what we'd built, a gentle hum of joy whispering through the night.